7 World Cup openers, 0 wins, 96 years of waiting. No nation in the history of football has walked out for more opening matches at a World Cup than Mexico, and no nation has less to show for it. Today, against South Africa, Mexico steps onto the opening stage for the 8th time, and every single year that came before is screaming one word at them: curse. To understand how deep this goes, you have to travel back to the very beginning. July 1930. Montevideo, Uruguay. The first World Cup ever played. Mexico is there on the opening day, and within 19 minutes, they're written into the history books for all the wrong reasons. France's Lucien Laurent scores the first goal in World Cup history. The very first goal the tournament ever saw, and it's scored against Mexico. Final score that day: France 4, Mexico 1. The curse didn't begin with a whisper. It began with the first goal, football's greatest stage ever produced. Then came Brazil, and not once, not twice. 3 separate World Cups. Mexico drew the opening match against the Seleção, and 3 separate times they were torn to pieces. 1950, Brazil 4, Mexico 0. 1954-4, a merciless 5-0. 1962, beaten again, 2-0. Add up those 3 openers against Brazil and the math is brutal. 11 goals conceded, 0 scored. Mexico wasn't simply losing its opening matches. It was being humiliated in front of the entire planet. And it kept happening. Decade after decade, Mexico arrived for the first match of the World Cup and left with nothing but heartbreak. 7 openers. 7 times the eyes of the world turned to them. 7 times they failed to win. At some point, it stopped being bad luck. It became part of who they were. But here's the twist that almost nobody talks about. In 1986, Mexico hosted the entire World Cup. Home soil, home stadiums, their own people in the stands. Surely now they'd finally play and win an opening match. Except they never played it at all. Because back then, the opening game wasn't handed to the host nation. It was handed to the defending champions. So, Italy opened the 1986 World Cup, not Mexico. The host country sat and watched its own opening ceremony and then waited for its turn to play. The one tournament where the curse couldn't touch them because they were never even allowed onto the field for the opener. Now jump to 2010. South Africa. The opening match. South Africa versus Mexico. Sifiwe Tshabalala unleashes a strike so perfect an entire continent explodes in celebration. But Mexico fights back. Rafael Marquez levels it. 1-1. A draw. Not a defeat this time, but not the victory that finally breaks the spell either. And here's where it gets eerie. 16 years later, that exact fixture returns. South Africa versus Mexico again to open a World Cup. It is the first time in the entire history of the tournament that the same 2 nations meet to open 2 different World Cups. Football does not hand out coincidences like this. Which brings us to right now, June 11th, 2026. With this match, Mexico becomes the first country ever to host the opening game of a World Cup 3 times, 1970, 1986, and today. 8 opening matches, 96 years, and still that one number refuses to change. 0 wins. South Africa walk in as underdogs, but they've already stunned Mexico on this exact stage once before. Mexico carry the weight of a home crowd, a desperate nation, and a century of opening day failure on their shoulders. The pressure isn't just about 3 points. It's about finally rewriting an entire identity. But there's something the global broadcast won't point its cameras at. While the opening ceremony lights up the sky and the world celebrates, the streets outside tell a very different story. Protests over the cost of hosting, families demanding answers, a nation celebrating and grieving in the very same breath. Because a World Cup opener is never only a football match, it's a mirror held up to the country brave enough and broken enough to host it. So here's the real question. After 96 years, after 7 failed openers, after the strangest rematch this tournament has ever seen, does the curse finally die today? Or does Mexico make it 8 openers without a win? Drop your prediction in the comments right now, your exact scoreline. And if you want the truth behind the World Cup stories nobody else is telling, subscribe before kickoff. The match starts in just a few hours. The curse has survived 96 years. We are about to find out if today is the day it finally ends.